Hello everybody. In this video, I will be overviewing your Accounting 1C syllabus. Essentially, I'll be sort of just showing you the structure of the syllabus by sections, and then coming back to some sections and focusing on certain items within that section. Now, if you have questions that go beyond the items that I focus on, obviously you can ask me questions either in the voice thread commenting tool or in the discussion thread that I will be placing in the orientation module or module 0. Alright, so let's begin. As you can see, just to begin, I wanted to go to the right side here and show you that the system, meaning Canvas, automatically generates the weights per type of deliverable. And so this will sort of mimic or reflect the same thing as you'll see in the actual syllabus below in the grading scheme. But I show you this because, it's a nice way to sort of overview what is available to you in terms of grading components. At the moment, this 111 is not correct. I'm going to have to make some changes to this. The slide is not obviously ready as of yet completely. So in terms of the actual syllabus, there are, about 10 or 11 sections. They're all in orange or, I guess, reddish color headings. And so we have the instructor information section, course description, learning outcomes, topics, course type, and a little bit about Canvas and MyLab, textbook, communication mediums, I guess, detail on the course assignments, the grading components themselves, including the grading scale, course policies, some resources in addition to what's in my lab, the class calendar, some notes, something about integrity and philosophy. And then finally, there's something called course summary. Now, this course summary, let me begin with this, is a Canvas automatically generated sort of calendar, and this is actually generated from the due dates that I set inside of modules or inside of other places. Now, the issue with this is that in many cases, I would say in some cases, I do extend some deadlines because of different reasons. For whatever the reason, it happens. I also may change something or move something, and the system doesn't know what to do with it. That doesn't really reflect the intent of the deadline, actually. So even though it's here, I would not rely on this class calendar. Instead, I would always say that what drives and what controls all the dates in the course is always a class calendar. So always rely on this. I'll come back to this to explain more of how the calendar is set up. So I'm going to go back up to the first section. And so all I'll say about the instructor information is that I would like for you to always use inbox instead of email. I get too much junk email, and many times messages get lost, get routed the wrong way. And so inbox keeps me organized and keeps you organized in terms of what we're doing here in class. So please use inbox instead of using email. Virtual office hours are all done, or basically, in other words, office hours normally is done in the office, but obviously this is an online class, and I'm also in New York. So there are no actual office hours, but there are virtual office hours. You can ask me questions about the class administratively. Administrative questions in the orientation module. There will be a thread that is called virtual office hours. You can do that. You can do that then. In course description, all I'll say is that my assumption is that you have completed Accounting 1B. And even more important than that, actually, that you've completed Accounting 1A. There's it's more important for you to have had the foundation of accounting 1A than accounting 1B actually. But anyway, so that's what, the prerequisite for this class. So you probably have met that already. Course outlines, course topics. We're going to be covering the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 chapters in the book. And so chapters 18 through 26. You notice that the first midterm exam covers the first 3 chapters. Then the next 3 are reflected in midterm number 2. And then the final exam covers the last 3 plus goes back to the first several chapters. So that's the reason it's called comprehensive. Keep that in mind. That's the sort of the breakout of the quarter. This section here shows you the overall program design, or the program that we have designed for you at Foothill, the accounting program. Very robust and very comprehensive. If you have questions about the program itself, inbox me, please. This class is held in Canvas, as you already know. We also use my lab, or my accounting lab, and obviously, I say obviously because it's in most cases, not all of them, but in most cases, you've already taken accounting 1A and 1B before taking 1C at Foothill, so you already have the book and already have bought the access code, so you don't need to buy anything at all. But if you haven't, then this section is for you. I'll talk more about registering into the My Lab section in a different video. So for now, I will not mention anything about the access code. But I may do that a little bit below. But there will be another video on this. The textbook, if you haven't bought it yet, it's either $95 under option A or $140 under option B. The only difference is that between A and B is that you get a printed textbook with B, and with option A you don't get that printed textbook. You will get the access code and the e-text. So keep that in mind as you decide which one you want to buy. What I will mention in terms of the registration process is that you will get everybody will get a red shelf email that allows you to they give you some instructions, and you'll be able to actually then generate an access code for yourself, which is unique to you. Keep that, it's important. And then on the first day of class, you'll be logging into the Canvas site, and then you'll be able to go into the registration process that then allows you to register with using that access code. And if you actually, at the point that you get the red shelf, you already had bought the bundle from the textbooks from the bookstore, that code would actually be your real permanent access code. And if you haven't bought it at that point, then it's actually a temporary access code. So either way, it will be the same access code. The system will know which one you are. You go through the registration process, and then you'll be able to access, even in temporary mode, you'll be able to access everything in my lab for the first 10, 11, 12 days. And then after that, you will need to upgrade. For those that actually buy it ahead of time, then you just keep using it, and you'll be fine. More on that on a different video. Communication, as I said before, please don't use email. Use the inbox. Discussion forums are for you to discuss the content of the class. So I do this normally, basically 1 chapter per week for the most part. And so that's you go there and sort of use the discussion threads. And also now I'm starting to use voice thread, which also is a different way to discuss some of the problems. But at this point, I'm just starting, so you may not have many of these. But if you do, there will be other ways to. This will be another way to communicate and to ask questions about the content of the class. Normally, my feedback with respect to, let's say, inbox messages is It's pretty quick. I scan my inbox at least twice a day, if not more. For discussion threads, the normal feedback requirements is 24 to 48 hours, but I'm pretty much normally I'm much quicker than that. But there's still this 48-hour limit in most cases. The class does run officially from Monday through Friday until noon. On the weekends, I do not promise that I'll be online, or even though I am there a lot because I'm preparing for the next week or we're grading some stuff, but I'm normally not there. So you should use the week to do your work and to ask questions, even though many of the major deadlines are over the weekend. Which what I'm doing basically is I'm using that the Friday deadline as the stopping point, but I do extend the deadline so you can actually submit work over the weekend. This just means that I may or may not be online to respond to your discussion postings. Let's see. Assignment types. Here I'll just mention that there are several different types of assignments. There are check-ins, and there I'm just sort of asking you to come into the class early in the week, Monday or Tuesday, and check in. It's very simple, and you'll see it when you get there. Let's see, and then check at that point. You would check the agenda for the week, any announcements and any inbox messages. So it's just to get you in there early in the week. Then you have class participation postings. Again, very simple, as I'll explain in a bit. It's one posting in any of the discussion threads for that week per chapter. So just one per week for the most part. That's very, very simple. There's also something called reading checks, little quizzes, one per chapter. There is also homework assigned per chapter, and 2 midterm exams and a final. And then there will be possibly either a reflection paper or a project. So I'll give you more info on this later in the week. later in the quarter. By the way, in the policies below, you see this, I think, again, I think so. But if not, it's here. No late assignments, although, at times, depending on the circumstance, there are exceptions. I mean, if they are made, if the exceptions are made, then there will be normally some kind of reduction to your score, either per day or something like that. We'll see. Just FYI. In terms of the grading per assignment, you will notice that, again, that as I said before, you've got 10 check-ins, one per week, starting in week 2 all the way through week 11. So that's 10 of them. The overall grade or overall percentage of your grade for this category of assignment is 1%. Very small. So each of those check-ins is 0.1, but it makes a difference. So I'm gonna go down below to the grading scale to explain 1 point. If you are at, let's say, 89.99 at the end of the quarter, once everything is tabulated, that is a B+. And so that's when these 0.1s become important. So don't miss any of these. These are easy points. Also very easy are class participation postings and reading checks and homework, because these are actually designed to be just, I call them Mickey Mouse points, but they are in a sense, because they're quite easy. You can maximize all these points. And I'll tell you why right now. These participation postings called CPs are done from week 2 to week 11. Overall category percentage of your grade is 9%. So once per week you go in there, any discussion thread, you respond, and that's it. You're done, and you earn 0.9 points for that posting. So that's 9%. Reading checks, you have 9 chapters. Each of them has a little reading check, 10 questions based on your reading. Drop the lowest 2, so only 7 will count towards your grade. So 7 times 1 percentage point each. Total category percentage for your overall grade will be 7%. The homework, I only assigned 7 of them. There are 2 chapters that don't have homework. And from those 7, 1, actually it says 2, but it's actually what I have to change this. 1 is dropped, so 6 times 3 equals 18%. 2 midterm exams, each of them is 15 points, total 30%. There's the reflection paper, as I mentioned previously, or a project. So you can do either one of those, and I'll explain that later in the quarter. As I said before, that's 5%, and then the final exam is 30%. Going back to these 2 here, they are both done in my lab, which are either directly in my lab or you can do it through the module. So they are embedded inside of the pages in the module. Now, these are all unlimited time and unlimited takes within the week that they are assigned. So you can retake it as much as possible and maximize your points there. In terms of extra credit, there's no extra credit at all. Although there are some exceptions. At times there's some opportunities for extra credit, and if that's the case, I will announce it. Let me sort of say one more thing about grading scale. As I said before, these situations where you are so close to the next level of grade, and then you ask for a bump up. I mean, I'm saying that because I do get the same questions about bump ups all the time at the end of the quarter. So make sure you earn all the easy points, because the bump ups are actually usually not given. Now, if they are given, it's because of this. Let me just go down here below the calendar, and there's a little note here on bump ups. So read this note to make sure that you actually understand, some of the reasons of why there would be an exception to the no bump up rule. Okay. Let's see. Course policies here. I'm only gonna mention a couple things. This one here, this item here. As I said before, late assignments are not accepted except for some, in some cases that may happen. There will be some kind of reduction if that's the case. But the more important thing is that use these low score drops strategically. Don't just drop them for the sake of not doing the work. Use them for when you get sick or your ISP gives you some issues, or something to that effect. You're traveling, you have work, whatever. So that's actually more important it's important for you to use those, I think, smartly. The other thing I want to mention is that the drop deadline is normally the second week of the quarter, and if it's the summer, I may use the same video for the summer class. In the summer, it will be after the first week. If you drop the class before that deadline, then I think you get a refund, and also you don't get any record of the class at all, no W on your transcript. Withdrawal means that you withdraw from the class. Usually you drop the class, but it's a different kind of drop, because at that point between week number 2 and normally week 8, or 75% of the quarter in a regular 12-week quarter, that is called withdrawing from the class. And in that case, you don't get a refund. You do get a W on your transcript, but that's it. You don't have to you can drop it, and you don't have to deal with the class anymore at that point. Now, if it's a summer class or a short session class, 75% of the quarter is different. So you have to check with the college for the actual due dates or the deadlines for these withdrawals. Beyond the withdrawal deadline, beyond the 75%, you cannot withdraw, and I cannot drop you no matter what we do. So you have to keep this in mind as you move forward in the class. And in most cases, it doesn't really apply, but just keep that in mind. There are other resources you might want to take advantage of, especially tutoring services, if you actually can make it physically to the campus. And the other things here you might want to look into. Class calendar. Here I'm going to say that all I'm going to say is that the calendar is organized by week. It gives you the date of the first Monday. Oh, I'm sorry, of the first day, which is a Monday. Like in week number 1, the first week, the Monday is April 8th. There, under the topic column, you have the what's covered in that week. So we have chapter. Well, first of all, orientation, 3 tasks that are due on Sunday. Although actually you will see that they're due on Wednesday or Thursday of the week, but I do usually extend it to Sunday. The point is that I would like for you to sort of finish these tasks as quickly as possible in the week, so that you can get into chapter 18, the first chapter. By the way, this one says 10, but actually it should be 18. So chapter 18 is you begin in week 1 and you finish it off in week number 2. And just to give you a little bit of time to ramp up into the class. That's the reason it's 2 weeks. If it's a summer, it will be only 1 week for both of these. So because we're doing double time in the summer. Notice that for this first week, reading check 18 is due on Sunday, but for the following chapter, normally those reading checks are due in the middle of the week. Keep that in mind. Let's see. Notice also that the postings are due normally at the end of each week. So for chapter 18, the CP posting will be due on that Sunday. There's also something called optional Excel stuff. These are just completely optional. They are not part of your grade. This is just for you to get some practice with Excel. And if you want to do, actually take advantage of these, you can actually play with them until each Sunday for that chapter, for that respective chapter. Notice that we do chapter 19 in week 3, chapter 20 in week 4, and at the end of week 4 we do the first midterm exam. And normally these exams are open a few days before, so you can access the exam. In this case, probably going to be Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. But once you're there, you have about 2.5 hours to complete it. So that's normally how this works. I also send out an announcement a few days prior with some information. At times also there's a practice exam that I do provide. At times I have to see in each case. Each quarter is different. And so if that's the case, then normally that practice exam runs before the actual exam. So the announcement will tell you those. So that will give you that information. Second exam will be in week number 7. And then at the end, you've got the reflection paper or project due in week 11. Final exam will be due last week of the quarter. Similar with summer, but obviously everything's cut in half. Aside from that, I guess, again, there's some important notes you should read here. And that's it. I think we covered all of it. I'm going to go all the way to the top again. And I'll just mention that at this point, if you have any questions regarding any item that I haven't covered, or you want more in-depth info on anything that I did cover, please use the commenting tool in VoiceThread, or use the discussion thread in Module 0. Thank you and enjoy it. Enjoy the quarter. Take care. Bye-bye.